Hi guys, my name is Michelle. I'm a tutor for Chegg Tutors and I usually tutor in English, math, and psychology. And today we're going to be talking about the cerebellum and the hypothalamus. So the cerebellum is located behind the top of the brainstem where the spinal cord meets the brain. And it's made up of two hemispheres and receives information from the sensory systems, the spinal cord, and other parts of the brain. And it also regulates motor movements. So the cerebellum coordinates voluntary movements like posture, balance, coordination, speech, and that results in smooth and balanced muscular activity. And so it's roughly only 10% of the total weight of the brain, but it takes up half of the brain's neurons, and it transmits information via electrical signals. So the cerebellum is important for motor learning. It plays a major role in adapting and fine-tuning motor programs to make accurate movements through a trial and error process. And the cerebellum isn't found in just humans. It's a pretty old part of the brain, and we found it in animals that scientists think existed before humans roamed the earth. So if we were to hurt the cerebellum somehow, it wouldn't cause paralysis or intellectual impairment. However, because motor movements are modified there and made more accurate and fine-tuned, it might be harder to balance, or you might experience shaking or have slower movements. And so complex movements might be impaired or might become unsteady. And so a standard test of cerebellar function is to reach with the tip of the finger for a target at arm's length. And so a healthy person will move the fingertip in a rapid, straight trajectory, while a person with cerebellar damage might reach more slowly and erratically with many mid-course corrections. Now, the hypothalamus is located below the thalamus, and it's part of the limbic system. It's responsible for specific metabolic processes in the autonomic nervous system. So it secretes releasing hormones that stimulate secretion of pituitary hormones, and it controls body temperature, hunger, attachment behaviors, thirst, sleep, and more. So it's a very important part of the brain. It regulates the body with respect to the daily light and dark cycle. So intrinsic timing mechanisms of neurons in this thing called a suprachiasmatic nucleus are controlled by the expression of the light-sensitive clock. And so it establishes the master pacemaker of the body. And the suprachiasmatic nucleus is also known as the master clock. So the activity of these cells synchronize other organs in the body, and while we're asleep and they desynchronize, they synchronize other organs in the body while we are asleep, and they desynchronize other organs in the body when we are awake. So the hypothalamus has a huge part in waking us up and allowing us to fall asleep. It's also highly interconnected with other parts of the central nervous system, so in particular the brainstem and its reticular formation. So it connects to the amygdala and the septum and receives many inputs from the brainstem. So hypothalamic nuclei are also sexually dimorphic, so this means some of them are sexually dimorphic, and so this means that they differ in structure in males versus females. So the most apparent one is the sexually dimorphic nucleus in the preoptic area. So this changes between man and woman in this nucleus, and it might explain some functional differences between males and females. So for example, males of most species prefer the odor and appearance of females over males. And so if the sexually dimorphic nucleus is lesioned, this preference for females by males actually diminishes. So that's very cool. And so it might describe a biological preference for heterogenic preference. And so there are cells in the hypothalamus that we still don't know the function of, but I hope you learned a bit about the important functions of the cerebellum and the hypothalamus that scientists have discovered up to this point. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.